The reason I started this was actually really funny. You see, I'm not married and I don't have children.
Okay.
But I was babysitting my friend's son once, and I was feeding him those pouches from the supermarket, and it didn't have any flavor, it didn't have any taste, even the color was faded. So out of curiosity, I just turned it around, and when I saw the production date, it was produced 10 months ago. 10 months, and it was going to get expired in 2 months. So imagine I was feeding the baby something older than him.
Yeah, and it's obviously full of preservatives for it to live that long.
Exactly, because the date, usually the shelf life on them is 1 year from the production date to the expiry.
Yeah.
So I thought that no way something like this could be healthy for a baby to consume.
All right, we are back. It's a new episode of Tell Me Why, and this is Maria Botros with you today. And joining me in the studio is Qadreya Al Awadhi, who is the founder of a company called Bumblebee.
Hi.
And today we're going to get to know Bumblebee a bit more. Qadreya, firstly, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Really happy to be here.
Yes, it's lovely having you in the studio. So, Qadreya, when I read your story and when I read about Bumblebee, I found that so fascinating because, I mean, you always hear about meal preps for adults. You always hear about like prepared meals for grown-ups, but we seldom hear that for children and for babies. First of all, I want you to explain to everyone that doesn't know about Bumblebee what Bumblebee is and how you started it.
Sure. So Bumblebee is a frozen meal plan for babies and toddlers. Our food is, our menu was developed by a professional chef and a child nutritionist to ensure that, every meal has the macronutrition that the child needs to grow up healthy. The reason I started this was actually really funny. You see, I'm not married and I don't have children.
Okay.
But I was babysitting my friend's son once, and I was feeding him those pouches from the supermarket, and it didn't have any flavor, it didn't have any taste, even the color was faded. So out of curiosity, I just turned it around, and when I saw the production date, it was produced 10 months ago. 10 months, and it was going to get expired in 2 months. So imagine I was feeding the baby something older than him.
Yeah, and it's obviously full of preservatives for it to live that long.
Exactly, because the date, usually the shelf life on them is 1 year from the production date to the expiry.
Yeah.
So I thought that no way something like this could be healthy for a baby to consume. So that's when I started asking other moms if they face such a problem here in the UAE, and a lot of them said, well, yes, we do. And that's why they're stuck with buying either, the supermarket or their own food, that they cook for adults that they just have to mash. And again, those are also filled with salts and butter, how we eat.
Exactly, yes.
So that's how the idea was born, just out of this one babysitting time.
I think that's really cool that, even though you don't have children yet of your own and, it wasn't something that was a common practice in your life, but you came up with something that could help so many people, so many mothers out there who might be overwhelmed, with work and life and, raising more than 2 or 3 kids. And, you came up with a concept that helps them. Can you tell me a bit more about how the food is prepared and like the chef and the nutritionist, like what you did to actually start the process? Like, how did you approach these people? How did you propose the idea?
Sure. So at first I was cooking for the boy. I was cooking for him and he liked it. He really enjoyed it. So I tried to do, something different every time. I tried to look up some recipes online just to understand what's healthy, what's not for the kid. And then I realized I started selling, because it was during the pandemic and, that was like a baby boom.
Yes, exactly.
So a lot of my friends also had babies and I was sending it to them and nobody minded, of course, especially, was sitting at home.
Yeah.
So I got good feedback and I decided, let's turn it into something else. Let's make it into a business. So that's when I started to look for some chefs who are specialized in baby food, and it was hard, but I found one. And then I find a childhood nutritionist.
Nice.
Her name is Yasmin, and she's from my pediatric clinic, Yasmin Haddad, and she's amazing, And together, we developed a set of menu that gives, the child all the nutrition that they need. It maximizes everything that they need in just one small little packet. That's free from salt or sugar. So that's how we began. And then because our menu changes every season. So again, every recipe that we get also from, we try to choose the ingredients that are just filled with the natural vitamins, if that makes sense. Like, for example, beetroot. It's rich in iron. So you can have that instead of, taking a tablet or taking some medicine.
Right.
So that's what we try to give for babies.
Yeah. And it adds a sweetness as well. So, like, instead of adding sugar, it gives it the natural sweetness.
Exactly. Those are some trade secrets.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I'm a bit of a cook myself. That's why I can tell from ingredients. And, it's fascinating as well because as adults now, we ourselves are starting to look at the ingredients that we're consuming. So imagine how important it is for a baby. Like, as an adult, I recently went through this where I had some gut issues, and I realized that a lot of the ingredients, a lot of the things that we don't pay attention to really affect our health, and that's why it's crucial to do that for our children. And I applaud you for the business that you've started, because you're helping mothers raise children that have a healthy future, eventually. Okay, so, with children's products, it's very tricky as well. Like, there's a lot of, like, safety and, like, regulations. Can you tell us about the journey, like, some of the challenges you may have faced, the successes that you've experienced and that kind of thing?
Well, as you know here, of course, they care a lot about the safety of food.
Yes.
Where I noticed, even before entering this space, I noticed when I was asking my friends who work, in the health department, they all said that, here we have one of the most stringent, control, because the government cares so much, right, about its people, about what we feed them, about the safety of the food. So I knew entering it wouldn't be so easy. But then going to the baby business, it's even harder because there is so much, rules and regulations that you have to follow. But, thankfully, we followed each and every single one. We adhered to everything that the government has set, for us. And now, we're operating, we have our approval and everything. It wasn't easy, but, it's just like a checklist that we have to go through.
Yeah.
And the way, of course, we keep our food safe is through temperatures. Of course, as soon as we cook the food, we have to freeze it.
Yeah.
And even this way, it's not just about safety, but it's also about preserving the nutrients of the food.
Of course.
Because when you keep them, let's say, frozen, as opposed to giving it another treatment, which is extreme heat, the extreme heat, which is what the supermarkets do, they deplete all the nutrients, from the food. When you heat it up so much, all the nutrients just boils away. But when you freeze it and when you keep it at the optimal temperature, everything is retained. So this is how we also ensure not just the safety, but that the vitamins stay in the food itself.
Wow, that is an eye-opener. I don't think a lot of people know that, so thank you for educating everyone.
Of course.
Okay, so going back to the menu, you mentioned the menu and how it changes every season. Can you tell us some menu items, like some of the things that you've come up with? Are you involved in that process, or is it just the chef and the nutritionist? Because you were saying you prepared the meals initially yourself.
Yeah, so I actually did take some courses.
Okay.
I have a certificate, actually. I'm a certified chef as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, when I knew I wanted to pursue this full time, I wanted to make sure that when I started the business, I wanted to be involved in every part of it.
Yeah, of course.
To make sure that it goes well.
Yeah.
So yes, I do check the recipes every time. Of course, I have a team that's amazing and that helps also curate recipes. But I also like to have some input. So for instance, if I go to a restaurant and I like for example, lasagna.
Okay.
It's something new that we're going to introduce. So I really liked it. But I remember a lot of the parents come to me and tell me, do you have anything just vegetarian? Because we have a lot of, protein-based foods and meats. So they asked me, do you have anything vegetarian? So then I thought, okay, how can I turn this into something vegetarian, something that kids would eat, something kids would love. So, this is when the chefs come to experiment, to try different vegetables to see what works. And for the seasonal, because, we have our own farm that we get ingredients from, and then the excess we buy from somewhere else. But it's seasonal, like strawberries, for example. Mangoes come in the summer. That's when they're, most delicious. So that's why we have some seasonal menu.
Okay. Can you tell us some of the dishes that you offer?
Sure. So the constant menu that we have all year round is like the meatballs and sauce.
Okay.
And, this one you can add it to a pasta, you can add it to rice, to bread, however you like it.
Nice.
But then the seasonal things is like mango tango. This is something we have. Strawberry quinoa. That's, again, seasonal. And we also have, now artichoke season is approaching.
Ooh.
So we have some things like artichoke pasta.
Ooh,
as well.
Yummy.
So those are some seasonal things that
Can I buy those? Those sound very yummy.
Of course. One of the parents was for the mango tango and the strawberry. We also have another one, berry blast. So sometimes what the parents do is they would take it and put it over their granola.
Oh, amazing.
They would put it, over like their acai bowl.
Yes.
Their granola bowls, over, just some Greek yogurt.
Yes, yes.
So, that's multi-use, and we get so happy to see how creative some parents can get, with their food.
Very nice. That's very nice and very resourceful. And obviously when the children see their parents eating it, it encourages them also to eat healthy and like to eat the food as well. Okay, so let's say I'm a mother and I'm looking to buy, your products. Where can I find them? And do you take custom orders? Like, let's say like a mother wants like a meal prep of a certain type, or are you just like, is it like a set menu and it's seasonal?
So for now, you can only order online because it comes, direct from the kitchen where we have total oversight.
Yeah.
We're looking, of course, now to slowly go into supermarkets.
Right.
But for now, it's just through the website, bumblebeefood.com.
Okay.
You can order, and the food would be with you in 2 days, maximum 3 days. But that's because, we make the food fresh to order, and it takes some time, to freeze it as well.
Right.
And some parents also, of course, talk to us. They send us a message. You can just send us an email or a message on the Instagram if your kid has any allergies or if you're confused, which stage to feed, what to feed. And we're really happy to help. Some things that we can do, of course, is substitute some ingredients. We have had some mothers whose babies are lactose intolerant. So we removed, we removed any dairy and we substituted it with vegan cheese. So we're always happy, to accommodate as much as we can.
That's actually very useful. And I think that's something you can't find in the supermarkets because more often than not, you have to buy the product as is. Like you don't have the pleasure to customize it. Okay, amazing. So moving away from Bumblebee a little, or actually it might be related, and that's why I'm going to ask you. You've been selected as part of a United Nations Women's Program. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So the program is about business women and their idea, it's to help them grow. So I applied to it and I was very, very honored to be selected as part of it. So it was a mentorship program where other leaders in the field help you, help you grow, help your business grow. And luckily that was also when I was first starting the business. So my mentor and the resources available at the time really helped me to grow and helped me to understand the market and helped me even to sometimes put the right pricing because we're new entering the market. The pricing was different as inflation went up, right? Because the past 2 years you've seen what happened to the prices of like the supermarket, and of course we always want to have the best prices for our customers, but then at some point you can't keep up with the prices. So this was really good help. Our mentor was amazing, Jen. She really, really helped me to get it right.
Amazing. And so how is this going to help you in the future as well? Like, can you tell us a bit more about your growth plans and your future plans? How has this program helped you?
I think one of the best things that the program did was just help me see beyond my current goal, because when I first started, of course, my goal was to just give my customers healthy food. That was the goal. But then when I was part of United Nations and I saw all those incredible women with their different businesses, I noticed the foundation of it all is that every single one of those businesses was centered around helping others, each in their own different way. But this was what it was about. And then this is when we started to think a little bit broader, like, okay, how can we help the community? How can we help the people around us? Not just, the customers, not just the target, but everybody else around us. How can we help kids even abroad who can't have access to our food? How in what other way can we help them? And this is how, one of the steps that we took was to align our vision with the National Strategy of Wellbeing. And as well, we also have partnered with a few charities that, build schools and that provide foods for children internationally. So, this helped us just think, I suppose, more selflessly.
So you mentioned the National Strategy for Wellbeing in 2031, I believe is the date. How is your business in line with that?
So the essence of the strategy is for the people of the UAE to lead a better and healthier life. That's the main essence, of the strategy. So, one of the pillars, of course, is the health of adults and of children as well. So how we aim to help with that is to provide the healthy food for children. One thing here that a lot of people, I suppose, don't know, because even I didn't know that, is just the danger. And I'm careful about choosing that word, but the danger of salt in baby food. We all know how bad sugar is, but nobody tells us just how bad salt is. So many studies have shown that introducing salt to children is almost a direct link to childhood obesity. You see, when like, for example, babies under 1, you put salt in their food, they get used to it. They get used to the salty taste. So then when you serve them something without it, they just don't want it anymore. They think it doesn't have any flavor. And what salt does for really small kids is it affects their kidneys in a way that they can't filter it out. And for others, it's retained in the body. It retains, with water. So it contributes to, obesity. And not to mention, like, the more salt you eat, eventually the more salty food you want. And what's more salty than fast food?
Exactly.
Right? That would hit the right craving that the kid wants.
Yes.
That's why, when you give them, like, compare any kid, that's how I grew up. When mom gave us McDonald's, it was so different than what my mom cooked the chicken nuggets at home.
Oh, of course.
Right? Because that one is filled with salt and MSG, right? To enhance the flavor. But the one at home, my mom does it, it's clean. It doesn't, for me, it didn't have any taste. But it was years later that I understood it was, the salt. That's the culprit.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And in a way, I feel like your business is also in line with the strategy, because you're raising healthy generations by promoting, healthy foods, that have less preservatives, less harmful ingredients, and so on and so forth. How are you going to take the business a step further?
We aim to, but at first I wanted to really focus on growing the business and putting my name there. And now that we've achieved that, now the next step is slowly partnering with nurseries, with schools, to educate parents, to educate kids on just how to make healthier choices. We always get self-conscious when we hear the word healthy, either because we think, oh, am I fat? What are you saying? Or because we think it might not taste good.
Right.
But at Bumblebee, we like to prove otherwise, that it's not that at all. You can have the exact chicken nugget that you want. We will cook it for you. We just won't deep fry it, for example, right? We're going to give you the pizza that you want, but it's just not going to have, like, sugar in it. And you wouldn't think that it does, but it's just hidden, when you buy it from the supermarket or from any other brand, right? So this is how, we aim. The next step is to slowly educate the schools and the parents about, the ingredients that they put in their food, even the benefits of just family time, with everybody now busy. It's so hard now to sit together as a family, but the family time at mealtime is so important. It benefits, studies have shown it benefits every single member of the family. From kids, they learn to be less picky eaters when they see everybody eating the same meal. Parents, their bonds grow stronger, and it even reduces the stress levels in men. So many studies have shown that when they sit around their family. So we want to promote, we want to keep promoting that importance of a family unit, which is all centered around food.
Amazing. So currently you're offering frozen foods. Are you planning on offering hot meals at a certain point? Is that something that's part of your plan?
We're thinking about it because we've had some interest from nurseries and schools, to ask about if we have, if we provide
Catering
like
or something, yeah.
So this is not something we're looking at right now, but it may be, in the medium term.
Mm-hmm.
But what we will be introducing for a limited time, just to see, just to test it a bit, it will be dry food, so snacks. So some dry snacks,
nice.
Like cookies and those kind of things. We're going to introduce them because a lot of our customers have been requesting, something other than frozen.
Yeah.
So dry is all what we're going to offer for now.
That's very nice. Do you feel like the Middle East lacks businesses like Bumblebee? Do you feel like the market just doesn't have enough businesses that promote healthy eating for children?
I think it does. I think there is a gap in the market for that, which is why I started even to begin with. But to be honest, when I first started, which was a couple of years ago, there was just 2 businesses or like 2 or 3. Because when I actually wanted to start, it was before 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It was just around 2019, but then the pandemic hit.
Right.
And I have a daytime job, so then I had to put that on hold. I had to put Bumblebee on hold and focus, on my day job because it was unprecedented, right? It was something that hit everyone by surprise. So Bumblebee had to be put on hold until I could launch it about a couple of years later. So during that time, a couple of businesses also came out, but today they are growing. I think that people are starting to notice that, okay, there is a gap for the baby food, so let's start. So in the UAE, I think there are enough now, but it's starting to grow now in the Middle East itself. There isn't many in the Middle East. I remember doing my research when I first began. There wasn't many, but they're slowly starting to realize that this is an untapped market.
I mean, it could be an expansion opportunity for you. You could maybe expand to the wider region and then maybe first the GCC, I guess, and then to the wider region, if that's something that you plan on doing it. I mean,
we hope so.
Yeah,
we hope so. Maybe one day in the future, we can look to that. Our goal, I remember, was just when we were selling in Dubai, we got our first order from Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
The very first order that I ever got, it wasn't from Dubai, it was from Abu Dhabi. It was, not a family member, not a friend.
Amazing.
So I remember that order perfectly. I was so happy, but I couldn't deliver it. It was in Abu Dhabi.
Right.
We didn't have the means to deliver it.
Yes.
So, today we deliver to all 7 Emirates, and our customers have even taken our baby food because it's frozen, so you can take it abroad.
Yes.
So we've reached 7 countries so far.
Amazing.
So, hopefully, I think expansion internationally makes sense.
Yeah, that must make you feel so proud because a business is sort of like your baby and you're feeding it the right ingredients, to succeed. So you were saying that they take the food abroad, which I've seen a lot of businesses have started doing, like not necessarily baby food businesses, but I've seen dessert businesses or like bakeries sell their goods and like sell you like a little manual on like how to travel with the food and how to keep it, fresh and avoid it from spoiling. Is that what you do as well? Like, do you tell people how to store it properly and how to travel with it properly?
Yes. So lots of parents, the best way I would recommend is first just to message us because we're still, developing the manual, as you said, because it depends on every flight, on every destination.
Right.
The rules differ slightly. So what we recommend is just contacting us and we'll handle everything. We'll explain everything for you. But in general, the food that we send comes in a box.
Okay.
In a foam box. So all the parent has to do is just change the ice because we have fresh ice, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
So just change the fresh ice to dry ice. That's it. That's all you have to do. Just take it, put it, just go it through the airport security, put it in the bag, with the rest of the, with the rest of the bags. It doesn't have to come to the cabin with you.
Right.
And when you reach and it's going to stay frozen for like 10, 12 hours. So it's
amazing.
It's enough to go to Australia or even America.
Yes.
And then when you reach the hotel, just pop it in the freezer and that's it.
Amazing.
Yeah. So you can enjoy it, and the best way to heat it, because it's just little packets. So the best way to heat the packets is just putting them in hot water. So it's so easy and convenient, for parents when they travel. Because I know when you travel to a different country, some people can be wary of the ingredients that they feed their kids.
Yes.
Especially, they have some religious restrictions, some dietary restrictions. They can't have that. So we provide that for them so that they don't have to worry, about it when they travel.
Yes. I mean, and it's down to just the allergens that might be in certain foods that upset a child's stomach because, they're way more sensitive than us. So it's always good to, travel prepared. My last question. I know that you are a busy woman and you have such a thriving business. What's your advice for parents?
I think I would say don't take the time that you have with your kids for granted. I know I don't have any kids, so I know I'm not speaking, but I've seen it, when I was babysitting, because when the pandemic hit, we all stayed at home. So I was babysitting my friends' children a lot. And they used to come over for weeks at a time, to stay over while their parents, because their parents were doctors. Mm-hmm. So they went out. Yeah. But they were afraid to come home, to their kids because of the COVID, and everybody was so worried about it. And we had our our grandparents, our kids, the most vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So they stayed with us. And, that's, of course, one of the reasons why I was testing on them. Yeah. But they always used to say, oh, I miss my kid. I miss my baby. I miss them. I miss having time with them. And they realized that, before that, when they were working, even if they were sitting on the table, they weren't really sitting on the table. Their mind was always elsewhere. Their mind was, somewhere else. So that time that you sit with your baby, especially at mealtime, you may not feel it now. But 5 years, 10 years down the line, you're going to appreciate and you're going to understand just how much of an impact it had on their mental health and how strong the bond is and how it grew, with your kids.
And advice from a nutritional aspect as well? Even
from a nutritional, when you sit with your kids, they learn not to be picky eaters because they learn to eat what you eat. So, for example, so many moms say, oh, my baby doesn't like to eat broccoli. My baby doesn't like to eat Brussels sprouts. I say, do you eat them? And they say, no. I say, well, then eat them together as a family. Or even cook it with them. Some things, for the slightly older kids, like the toddlers, when they begin to understand, involve them in the cooking process. Give them, the sense of independence, that they can control what they put in their own food. They might not eat at all, but they'll take a bite. Right? And this is how it begins. They take 1 bite, 2 bites. And then the next thing you know, it's going to be their favorite. So even from a nutritional standpoint, if you want your kid to become less of a picky eater and eat more healthy food, begin with yourself. You eat it. And then if that doesn't work, make your child part of the cooking process. That always is our top advice for them.
Great advice. Honestly, lead by example. I think we all know that. Yeah. Qadreya, thank you so much for your time.
So much.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.